Welcome to the Houston Lawyer Referral Service legal video series, your trusted source for clear, practical legal information designed to help families navigate important decisions with confidence. In this video, we'll discuss some of the most effective ways to make the transfer of some of your assets from your estate as easy and cost-effective as possible with our Harris County Probate Administrator, Brandon Cofield. Thank you so much for being here again, Brandon, and doing this probate video series. We really appreciate it. They've been very informative. Want to now talk about some things that people can do ahead of time before they're passing so that everything is cost-effective and easy as possible. So how can someone make things more cost-effective and easy as possible before they pass?
Yeah, everybody, that's like the number one question, like, how do I avoid probate? And you can and can't, but you can. And the most important thing is, as I mentioned before, only the things that are in your estate when you pass are things that have to go through probate. I had a case before where the person technically had, when they passed, let's say a little over $1 million, but because they had pay on death, or PODs, or designated beneficiaries on accounts, all of those things were contracted to go to those people automatically. So that wasn't a part of their estate. They had a transfer on death deed, which was listed with the property, so that property, all the heir had to do, or the beneficiary just stated, they informed the county that it's an affidavit of death saying this person is now deceased. That deed that they already filed with the county, that becomes immediately valid. So don't have to worry about the house anymore. That's not a part of the estate. And the only thing they had left was a small checking account that didn't have any beneficiary listed on there. And so that was the only thing that was left on there. And generally speaking, even when you have things like a vehicle, you can do a similar process like that transfer on death deed through the Department of Motor Vehicles that allow you to say, here's who I want my vehicle to go to when I pass. So you can do a lot of planning to make life a lot easier for your heirs down the road. So all they have to do is just notify the bank that this person's deceased, notify the county that this person's deceased, notify the Department of Public Safety and DMV that this person's deceased, and a lot of these things that they put in place will automatically trigger, so they don't have to worry about the cost of going through probate if they go through these steps today. So planning is very, very, very helpful and important to be able to avoid a lot of the headaches that people deal with.
That's extremely good information. Can we talk about the payable upon death just for a minute here? So is this just for banking accounts, or how about like if you have an investment account or a 401k?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or pension?
Yeah, so pretty much anytime there's, let's say, a bank account or a 401k or pension, there generally is going to be an opportunity to list, like, hey, I want 33% to go to this person, or I want all of this to go to this person to leave a designated beneficiary. What that does is it sets up a contract between you and that institution to say, when I pass, give this to this person. And that's why it moves outside of the probate process. One of the things to be aware of, and I guess it's just a little bit of an extra nugget, is just checking with your financial institution about how your bank account is set up. A lot of times people will have just their own bank account, and maybe as they age, they'll say, I'll just add like my kid to that account. Now you can add someone to an account as effectively an authorized user that can do some things, or you can add them as maybe a joint owner on that property, or you can add them as like a joint owner or joint tenant with a right of survivorship. So each one of those is very different, and this is the reason why it's important to, I guess, not only talk to an attorney, but talk to your financial institution. Because if someone is just added as a joint tenant, if you think of this as the bank account as a whole, you add someone on there, they're entitled to half. You're entitled to half. So if you pass, half of that account goes to your estate. But if there's a right of survivorship on that, whoever lives longer gets everything that's in there. So if you're thinking, it'll just be easier, but you weren't necessarily intending to give all of your bank account to one kid who happens to be one helping out, then you don't want to take that step of doing a joint tenant with a right of survivorship on that bank account. So it's like those small things that can have a big impact, especially when you're looking at home health care facilities. And there's been a lot of fraud in that space, unfortunately, where people are like, yeah, just add me to the account because it's going to be easier. We're taking care of your loved one. And then at the end of the day, the bank is like, well, we're contracted to give them everything, and that might not be what the family was trying to do. So very important. It's awesome and it's great to do the payable on death and have the designated beneficiaries, but also make sure, just check and make sure what type of account it is so that you know exactly what you're doing.
And from my understanding of what you said, your financial institution should be able to explain to you which ones are available to you and how they work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, when you create an account or add someone to an account, I mean, it gave us a lot of paperwork, and a lot of times people don't even read the paperwork, but just double check and make sure, like, hey, am I adding someone just for the authority to make deposits or charges? Am I adding someone so that they co-own this? Or am I adding someone that whoever passes is going to take the whole thing? So whoever passes first, the survivor gets to keep everything. So just, I mean, any financial institution for sure will know exactly what they have set you up in and what you signed to, but it should also be in your paperwork for whatever you created that account.
So I know a lot of people, they, very efficient. They want to plan ahead and get the payable upon deaths on all their accounts, payable upon death for their checking and savings account, beneficiaries listed properly for their investment accounts and pensions and things of that nature. They have the TODD set up to make sure their house goes to whoever they want it to go to. And then they go to the DMV and have their vehicles kind of, like you said, set up to go to whoever they want to leave them to. And then they think, well, I really don't have anything else. Why do I need a will?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things, and this is for me a case of better safe than sorry. If you think of an example of something that could happen in life, maybe the day before you pass, you inherit or you hit the lotto, $100 million, and you just got that check and it didn't get deposited yet, but there's a check in your name, and where is it supposed to go? It didn't make it to an account that already had a designation on there. Or if you, I don't know, maybe you just find a duffel bag of cash. You're like, now what? So having something, even just a simple will that just says, like I said, having a residuary clause, anything that I didn't list in here, anything else in my estate on my passing goes to this person, that still will be probated, and that still will allow that individual to get the letters testamentary and the authority to sign if they need to open an estate bank account or deposit a check. So it's very important to do that. And it's also important, in my opinion, especially if to have someone in charge of an estate, because you never know what's out there. So one of the things, we have claimattexas.gov, which is our unclaimed property, right? And the amount of things that are on there, I think I still have some stuff like random rebates from AT&T Uverse. I returned the box years ago, and they sent a check to an address before I left for college, and I never got that check, but it's like $63 in there. It's a public site, and you can type in your name to see that, but you're still gonna need to do some sort of steps to establish that you're an heir for that person that's deceased. And then also, I think people forget that if there's a single person in a generation that's still living, and they inherit, then everybody in that generation inherits. So even if, let's say, your parent passes, but like your uncle's still alive, if they are the heirs, your parent's one of the heirs, then they are still going to be able to inherit a portion of that piece. And so you just never know what's going to happen in the future. So to the extent that it's best to have a will or to administer an estate, if you have the means to go ahead and do that, you just never know. There might be a check out there somewhere or a check coming later.
So what I'm hearing, Brandon, is people really need to make sure they have payable upon death a beneficiary signed with all of their financial accounts. They need to have a transfer on death deed on all their real property.
I think it's the cheapest, best way to go about doing that, because that's a $39 to $43, maybe $47 filing that you can do without an attorney on the real property records with the county clerk's office, as opposed to having to wait to figure out who's going to get the house by going through the whole state administration process or the probate process. And
go to the DMV, and I believe it's as easy as downloading a document and filling that out and I think both of those people have to make an appointment and go together for all their vehicles. Maybe keeping these things up to date.
Yeah, it's important to keep things up to date, and I think it's important just to communicate across the board, no matter what it is in the probate process, making sure that, if you just say you have a tax deferral in your home, over 65 deferral, yes, I own this property, but making sure whoever's going to inherit this, that I haven't been paying taxes on this, so those taxes will be due in the future. It's very unfortunate when people are like, I didn't even think about taxes being due because this house has been our family for generations.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, a lot of times when you get seniors that get a fixed income, the reason why we have the policy to say like, hey, we can pay this later is so that that senior is not, stuck between eating and paying like taxes or something. So those are the type of things that, like, if you communicate what's going on, it makes it a lot easier, and let people know if you have a will, like, where is that will? Or if you have a storage unit with like all the family heirlooms in there, make sure that's written down so people don't accidentally not pay it and then it goes to some storage wars and like the stuff is lost, right? These are things that can be figured out by just communicating. And as cool as the movies are, where it's like everybody comes in the room and nobody knows who's going to get what, and it's big grand reading, that's usually not how that happens. So communicate in advance so people aren't fighting. Everybody knows what the wishes are. So much easier.
Yes, in so many different ways, financially, emotionally, and of course have a will. So we want to have payable upon death, transfer death deeds for our real property, and then beneficiaries for our vehicles. Check those things regularly, making sure that they're up to date. Someone may pass, and you want to make sure that you're leaving it to someone who is still with us. And then of course having a will.
Yeah, just a catch-all, just in case you forgot anything. At minimum, have a will.
Well, if someone needs to plan for their passing, where can they find a reputable attorney?
Well, there's a lot of attorneys out there, that's for sure, and they are not all created equally. I do know one of the best sources, of course, Houston Bar Association and Houston Lawyer Referral Service, as kind of a conduit within that, is as a great place to not only find out information, but also attorneys, and make sure those attorneys know what they're doing. The thing that, I don't know if I should say this, the thing that I think that's interesting about the law is, unlike like medicine where people have to specialize in things, so it's very clean and clear. You are a pediatrics person, you do gerontology. I can decide tomorrow that, like, you know what, I'm gonna start taking crim cases. Never done crim law. Similarly, someone can just say, I'll take this probate case because it just seems like it might be easy, but they might not understand the nuances and not only just the law, but the soft skills that it takes to interact with, some different heirs. Like, the heirs aren't really fighting with each other, but they're both grieving, or they're in an interesting place that you kind of need to be able to navigate that. So those are the type of things I think when you have a referral that's been previously vetted, like Houston Lawyer Referral Service offers, it makes it easier. And there's also someone to hold accountable. So if it's not a good attorney, you can circle back, right? And make sure, like, hey, this is not somebody that needs to be on this referral list. And I mean, the referral service is a reference point that a lot of other legal, whether it's law firms, whatever it is, trust, because sometimes they will send them there because, like, hey, maybe I can't take this case, but I do know that you'll still get taken care of with Houston Lawyer Referral Services referral. So I think that's probably the best all around. It won't take forever. You won't be on this long waiting list for some of the different pro bono services, and you might not get charged like an arm and a leg for some big, huge downtown firm. It's like a good real world solution for like everyday people.
You could not have stated that better myself, Brandon. So if you do need a lawyer, give us a call at the Houston Lawyer Referral Service. We are here to help. And again, Brandon, thank you so much for this video series. If anyone has any questions they want Brandon to answer, please email those to us at info@hlrs.org. The information will be on the screen, and we would love to do another video series.
Absolutely.